Walk through your home and look, really look, at the ordinary things. The detergent in the laundry room, the razor in the bathroom, the toothpaste, the shampoo, the deodorant, the nappies, the dish soap. Now imagine that a surprising number of those humble, everyday items sitting in millions of homes, exactly like yours, were made by a single company in Cincinnati, Ohio. That company is Procter and Gamble, and it has spent nearly 2 centuries quietly perfecting the art of selling us the small, repeated necessities of daily life. This is a series about the companies that run the world and the rivals they left behind. Today it is Procter and Gamble, and it stands for a very particular kind of power. Not the drama of oil or microchips, but the astonishing business of the mundane. Soap, and the science of persuading billions of people to buy one bar of it rather than another every week for the whole of their lives. It is one of the most sophisticated selling machines ever built. The story begins in 1837, when a candle maker and a soap maker, who happened to marry into the same family, went into business together in Cincinnati. For its first decades, it was an ordinary maker of soap and candles. But over time, it discovered something that would matter far more than any single product. It learned, better than almost anyone, how to build a brand and how to make people want it. That, more than soap, is the company's true invention. In the early 20th century, Procter and Gamble helped pioneer the very idea of modern brand management, the practice of treating each product as its own carefully cultivated identity with its own personality, promise, and place in your life. It turned the selling of ordinary goods into a rigorous discipline, studied, measured, and refined like a science. It even reshaped the media we consume, almost as a side effect. To advertise its soaps to homemakers, the company sponsored daytime radio and then television dramas aimed squarely at that audience. Those serialized stories, bankrolled by detergent, are the reason we call them, to this day, soap operas. An entire genre of storytelling exists, in a sense, as a delivery system for selling cleaning products. From that mastery of branding grew an empire of the everyday. Procter and Gamble today owns a long roster of household names across cleaning, grooming, baby care, feminine care, and health. Many of them are the single leading product in their category, in market after market. You could clean your whole house, and much of yourself, using nothing but the brands of this one company. You almost certainly know these names, even if you never knew they shared a parent. Tide and Ariel in the laundry, Pampers for babies, Gillette for shaving, Crest and Oral-B for teeth, Pantene and Head and Shoulders for hair. Each is a giant in its own right, and each is quietly a division of the very same firm in Cincinnati. The scale of that is captured in a single figure. Procter and Gamble takes in revenue on the order of $80 billion a year, built not on one blockbuster, but on a portfolio of brands, many of which individually sell in the billions. It is a fortune assembled from pennies and small daily choices. The razor here, the detergent there, multiplied across billions of people and repeated week after week without end. And repetition is the secret engine of the whole thing. These are not products you buy once. The razor needs new blades. The bottle empties, the box of detergent runs out, and so you return and buy again and again for decades. A business built on things that are used up and replaced is a business with a beautifully reliable, self-renewing river of revenue flowing quietly through it. So the question is, what protects an empire built on something as copyable as soap? The moat is the brand itself, and the vast machine behind it. It takes enormous scale to fund the research, the advertising, and the distribution needed to keep a name trusted and present on every shelf in the world. A rival with a chemically identical product still has to build that trust from nothing, and against decades of familiarity, that is extraordinarily hard and expensive to do. Procter and Gamble does not rule this world unopposed. Its great mirror image rival is Unilever, the Anglo-Dutch giant that fights it across many of the same shelves worldwide. Around them circle other formidable specialists: Colgate, Palmolive in oral care, Kimberly-Clark in paper and tissue, and Reckitt in health and hygiene. This is a fiercely contested arena, fought brand by brand, aisle by aisle, in almost every country on earth. But the most interesting threat comes not from another giant, but from below, in the form of the store's own brand. Supermarkets increasingly sell their own private label versions, often made to a similar standard for a lower price, sitting right beside the famous name. That quiet competition is a constant pressure, and it goes to the heart of the whole game. It forces the giant to keep answering one relentless question: why pay more for the name? The company's answer, always, is trust and quality. And when you ask what would actually break if it vanished, the honest reply, as with much of consumer goods, is that we would cope. Someone else would make the soap and the razors. But something subtler would be lost: the deep, almost invisible reliability of knowing that the product will be the same and will work every single time. That boring dependability is worth more than we tend to admit. Because what Procter and Gamble really sells underneath the products is the removal of a small daily risk. You do not have to think about whether the detergent will ruin your clothes or the toothpaste will be unpleasant. You have been trained over a lifetime to trust the name and stop worrying. Multiply that tiny relief across every routine of daily life, and you begin to see the strange, quiet value of what these brands actually provide. Which brings us to the uncomfortable question, in a gentler but no less real form than usual. How much of our daily behavior, our habits, even our sense of what is clean or normal or desirable has been deliberately shaped by the marketing of a handful of enormous companies? We like to think our small preferences are our own. A great deal of effort and money has gone into making sure that many of them are not entirely. To be fair, and it genuinely deserves saying, there is real good in the story. The mass production of cheap, effective soap and hygiene products is quietly one of the great public health achievements in history. Reliable cleaning, safe personal care, and better hygiene, spread to billions of people at low cost, has saved and improved an enormous number of lives, in ways we rarely stop to notice or credit. And that is the quiet lesson of this particular giant. Beneath the grand dramas of technology and finance and energy sits a humbler layer. The small repeated rituals of ordinary life: washing, cleaning, grooming, caring for a child. Procter and Gamble is the company that turned those humble rituals into one of the most durable business empires on earth, proving that the surest path to lasting power is not the spectacular, but the everyday. So the next time you reach, without a second thought, for the familiar bottle or the trusted box, it is worth remembering what that unthinking reach really represents. It is the finished product of nearly 2 centuries of relentless refinement by a company that understood, earlier and more deeply than almost anyone, that whoever quietly owns the habits of everyday life owns something no dramatic empire ever quite matches: an unshakable place in the ordinary hours of billions of people.